Good evening, everyone. Welcome along to the Worldwide Gooner Elite podcast. This is the North London Derby review here with Rai and Jordan today as well. Rai was watching the game from a neutral perspective. Of course, me and Jordan were commentating on it for the RS Media channel as well from an Arsenal and a Spurs perspective. So, Jordan, I bet you're buzzing still after that result yesterday.
Absolutely, yeah. I've watched the highlights many times, I think, and Arsenal Fan TV for a bit of entertainment. Yeah, it was a Mourinho game plan executed to perfection, really, wasn't it? Sitting in, letting Arsenal have all the ball, and then devastating counter-attacks. Just two opportunities in the match, took them both, and that was it. For all the possession that Arsenal had, they didn't do enough with the ball. They didn't create enough clear chances, and in the end, it was quite comfortable in that second half just to keep that clean sheet. So, yeah, very happy with that.
What did you make of the game, Rai? I know you saw it as well and you were watching from a neutral perspective, as I said. And what did you make of how Arsenal set up?
I thought, actually, Arsenal were the dominant side. And because Spurs were playing counter-attacking football, I mean, we know what Harry Kane's like. He likes to come deep, defend, and even come into the midfield to get his assists. And that's exactly what it happened for the first goal. Harry Kane dropped to midfield, fed it through to Heung-min Son, who beautifully scored a great goal against Barent Leno. And then Heung-min Son did brilliant in the second goal. I mean, he passed it on to Harry Kane, who smashed it. And I was if that was on a FIFA game, that would have hit the bar. But that hit the roof of the net and went in. And lucky enough for Tottenham, they deserved it on their performance and their tactics.
Yeah.
Mourinho. I mean, we know what Mourinho's like. And could this be the year that Tottenham win the league?
And I'll come to you on that exact point, Jordan, as well. You know, what do you make about what Rai said there? Do you think this could be the year that Spurs, do go on and lift that title?
I don't know. I mean, for me, favourites are still Liverpool. I think even with their injuries, even with the loss of Van Dijk, they still look strong. I mean, 4-0 win against Wolves, they're still up there with us. But we'll see. I mean, the game plan Mourinho's putting out, it's working at the moment. Every player seems to be kind of buying into what Mourinho wants. Everyone's working hard, and obviously we're on good form. Can we keep it up? Time will tell, I guess. I think we'll be up there. Can we win the league? I'm not sure. I think we may just miss out on that, but you never know. It's a bit of a strange season. We've seen some strange results. We'll wait and see. But for me, Liverpool's still the team to beat.
All right. And of course, from an Arsenal perspective, we're right down there in 15th place now. Of course, that could change tonight as well with the Brighton and Southampton result, depending what happens there. We could even drop a place there to 16th as well. And then that makes the Burnley game next weekend, a real 6-pointer, really, at this stage of the season, the 12th game into the league. And, if we're to lose to Burnley, then we're only 4 points above the drop, the relegation zone.
It's a big game. It's a big game. Must win. It needs to be a convincing win as well. Aubameyang maybe to score a couple, get a bit of confidence, because he just doesn't look himself. Hasn't done all season, really. Don't know what's wrong with him. But yeah, it needs to be a convincing win. Try and lift the spirits around the club. If they weren't to win that game, then pressure starts to mount on the manager and those players.
And I've heard rumours about Mikel Arteta even today on the back of that North London Derby result, that people were questioning his future. So I'll come to you first of all, Ryan. I'll give my opinion on this as well. But, how long do you reckon Mikel Arteta's got to save his job? Would you still give him till the end of the year?
I'd give him till the end of the season, at least, because in his first 6 months of being at the club, well, 8 months actually, because it was the season got suspended due to the first lockdown of COVID.
Yeah.
He has actually won the FA Cup, which is better than any other manager that Arsenal have had. So to win the FA Cup in your in half a season, I think is a good joy. I mean, yeah, the tactics are not looking good for Arteta, but he's learning from Pep Guardiola, who was his mentor when he was the assistant manager at Man City.
Yeah.
And there might be a little twinkle here, there, and everywhere, but you got to give him the full season at least. And if nothing improves, either take him out and have him sacked or mutually consent,
Mhm.
or bring in a hierarchy that can actually support him and give him advice and all that, because this is his first managerial job. I mean, it's not easy. Look at the likes of Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard. They're doing
Solskjaer.
wonders.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
They're doing wonders for their clubs in their first and second managerial jobs. Um, I mean, there's the likes of Sol Campbell, who hadn't done really well
Mhm.
in his managerial spells at
Yeah.
clubs,
Uh-huh.
uh, and I think you got to give him to the end of the year, well, end of the season, to see. And if he doesn't succeed on what he needs, bring in someone with more experience and have him as an assistant or something.
Yeah, and I'll come to you, Jordan, as well. What do you make of, Rice said it there with Lampard and we've touched on Solskjaer as well there briefly, the whole ex-players getting into management. There's a lot of extra pressure on them, isn't there?
There is, yeah, and they're so-called club legends, if you like. There's that pressure from the start, I suppose, and expectation from the fans for them to do well. But I mean, all these managers, they're relatively inexperienced. I mean, Lampard had a season at Derby before going to Chelsea. I mean, Solskjaer, we know, has had the odd job here and there, but not done much. And obviously, Arteta, this was his first job as the main man. He was just obviously had a valuable few years under Guardiola, but yeah, overall, I think it's a tough one. I think it's always a risky move, I think, to go with the next player who's not got a lot of experience. Maybe an experienced manager is what Arsenal needed over Arteta, but, I don't think he's done too bad so far. It's been below par this season, but we'll see. I think he definitely deserves at least to the end of the season, a bit more time, get some more players in January maybe. We'll see if he can pick it up.
And I'm not sure, who else would have been available as well, and who else would have wanted to take the Arsenal job. The way that we are at the moment, it is always going to be a transition period for a number of seasons on the back of Wenger leaving, the whole Emery regime as well. Freddie Ljungberg had a chance. Arteta's now having a chance as well. And even when Arteta came in, there was rumours about, the likes of Ancelotti, the likes of even Mourinho, who's now gone to Spurs, and people like that. And when you see Mourinho and what he's doing for Spurs, that wouldn't have been a bad shout for Arsenal to go in for somebody like him. And, even the likes of Pochettino, as much as he's a Spurs man and he, is a sort of former Spurs manager, somebody like that would even, I think be a decent shout for Arsenal if I did lose his job.
Yeah, there's options, isn't there? But it's definitely premature to say that he deserves to go. Yeah, he definitely deserves at least the end of the season. You might pick it up. There's not a lot of points between 15th, where Arsenal are, and say 6th or 7th. So it can turn around quickly. So we'll see.
And of course, we'll touch on, the whole situation regarding the creativity as well with Mesut Ozil. We kind of have to, because, again, yesterday he's there on his social media. Even today, I think 5 or 6 hours ago, he was posting out there about the importance of the fans, and he's really still being overlooked. And I think if we're not going to sign a Hassan Muar or somebody like that in January, then Mesut Ozil has to be registered, because yes, we've got the likes of Willock and Smith Rowe, but they're not the likes of Ozil, are they? They've got Ozil's been there, done it. He's won things with club and country.
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest, with Mesut Ozil, he is a quality footballer. I mean, he's had a year and a half out of the Arsenal team, maybe even 2 years, and it's going to play on his mind. Why am I not being picked, or what, or why am I not registered in these squads, or why am I not registered in the Europa League squad. Why am I not registered in the Champions League squad or whatever? But
Yeah.
if you're struggling and you ain't gonna sign anyone in January, you have to register Mesut Ozil, even if it is to end his career at Arsenal, because I'm sure he's out of contract at the end of
In
the
the summer,
season.
yeah, he is. He is, yeah.
So give him the 6 months at the end of for the end of the season. Fans are allowed back. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, obviously with
Small
restrictions.
number, yeah.
2,000 fans giving Mesut Ozil, that might give him a bit of a boost, and he might play well and go on to do better things for Arsenal, and then we might get you back in the top four. Who knows?
And I'll come to you, Jordan, as well on your thoughts on Mesut Ozil, and just Ryan said it there about the fans as well. We'll touch on that briefly in a minute, but I'll give you a few minutes to talk about the Ozil situation before we do that.
I think it's ironic, really, that you have a player sitting there tweeting away, and it's exactly the kind of profile of player that Arsenal needs at the moment. When you watch them play so much of the ball, but no player to kind of unlock a defence. As I said yesterday, it's that kind of that pass through the middle of the defence to Lacazette or an Aubameyang or something to set up a goal. They just haven't got that. It's all a bit hopeful, passing sideways, taking 55 passes and then putting a cross in. There's no real penetration there, and a player like Ozil could provide that. I'm not saying he would. He might come in and be awful, but it's clearly a kind of profile of player that was missed in the summer transfer window. January, it needs to be addressed, whether that's either registering him or buying someone, because if not, the same problems will happen again and again and again. And for all the possession you can have, if you don't put the ball in the back of the net, then it means nothing. So, yeah.
And of course, just go back to yesterday's game as well. From a Spurs perspective, of course, you're a big Spurs fan, season ticket holder as well. So, to have the fans back in the stadium, do you reckon you'll be allowed to go back yourself anytime soon?
Yeah, I mean, when I'm back at home, I'll obviously go in the ballot, I think, for any home game and try and get lucky. I know my dad did for that game, but he didn't get lucky. So hopefully in the future, be able to go to one. It was a nice boost. It was nice to see fans there. They definitely made their voices heard as well, which was nice to see. And yeah, they didn't see a lot in the second half because we didn't attack much. We didn't need to, but yeah, it's just great to see them back. It's a step in the right direction. Hopefully that 2,000 can become more, maybe in January, February, as things get a bit better. And yeah, it's good to see. Obviously, it's unfortunate for clubs in Tier 3 that can't have any fans yet. Hopefully all clubs can get a few fans in next year.
And I just want to have a little say in regards to that as well. Of course, it's great to have fans back in, as much as they're socially distanced at the moment, and you're only having a small number compared to, capacities of the stadiums, 60,000, 80,000, whatever. Would take a long time to get to that kind of stage, but 2,000 is better than nothing. And even yesterday, take the Liverpool game, for example, where you've put 2,000 people in the Kop end, and you'll never walk alone still sounds as amazing as it would with a full sort of attendance there. Yeah.
It did. It pushed Liverpool on.
Yeah.
They won 4-0.
Mm-hmm. In a game that was being commentated on RS Media as well.
Yeah.
With one of the lads that were on RS Media earlier in the day was actually at the game. So he was lucky to get in. But I think, having them in the Kop was amazing. But we're not talking about Liverpool. We're talking about the Arsenal Spurs game.
Yeah, fair enough. But I just wanted to bring that in as well, because it does, sort of sound amazing when you put them in with the Kop end and you just get them in the thick of it there. But with Arsenal and Spurs, I just want to touch on, obviously that's Mourinho's style of play. He's always known for, parking the bus and going on the counter attack, and it worked a treat really for Tottenham. And I just want to say, in regards to that game as well, I think Arsenal were a bit naive. I think we, even with the two goals, Son's goal was I think it was Rob Holding came out of defence to try and sort of break up the line after the ball had got past the midfield, and Bellerin slips as well. And, there's no stopping that. But I do think there's a few defensive frailties in this Arsenal side at the moment, especially, take the second goal as well. That, counter-attack there, Thomas Partey's injured, but Hector Bellerin, the Arsenal right-back, has lost possession in the Spurs penalty area, trying to get the ball across to Aubameyang, plays it behind him. But then what's he doing? He's not tracking back. He's still, 70% up the pitch. He should be busting a gut to get back and try and, sort of defend. And that's his prime job, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah, they fell into the Spurs and Mourinho trap, Arsenal, twice, and they were punished for it. I mean, it was, especially the second goal, to commit that many men forward. I know, obviously, Partey was off on the side, which was a poor decision from him. Even if he was injured, you still stay in the centre until there's a stoppage in play. But yeah, at that stage of the half, just tighten it up a little bit. Don't throw everyone forward like that. Just see it out to half time at only 1-0 and you're still in the game. But a 2-0 against a very organised Mourinho team, very unlikely you're going to be able to get back in the game. So yeah, it was naive. It was sloppy. It was like Arsenal had never watched Spurs play before. They're devastating on the counter-attack. So you don't just leave a couple of men back. Suddenly it was 4-on-2 and there was only going to be one outcome. So,
and I said it on the stream, with our commentary, didn't I, as well? If you're pushing for an equaliser in the 89th minute or whatever, fine, push everybody forward. But you don't need to do that on the stroke of half time. You've still got a whole, 45 minutes. You've got 15 minutes to regroup. And Thomas Partey, yes, he's injured. Take him off, bring on Danny Ceballos. You're only 1-0 down. It could be a different game.
Exactly that, yeah. It's just poor decision-making. Too many players getting ahead of themselves, trying to push for that equaliser in the first half and, punished for it. Spurs just so good on the counter at the moment with, Lo Celso slotted in nicely for Ndombele as well, I thought. And, Son and Kane again combining, just the two of them just on fire.
And, of course, you said that you watched the game as well, right? So what did you make of that, that point I just made there?
Yeah, it's difficult as well because, you shouldn't be pressing that high up the pitch with all your players in the first half. The second half, from the 75th minute onwards, if you're 1-0 down, you're going to press to get an equaliser or get a goal back and maybe go on and win it.
Yeah.
But not as early as, the 35th minute, I think it was, when Danny Ceballos replaced the injured Thomas Partey. So
45th, just about a few seconds before half time. Yeah,
it was actually, wasn't it? So it was a poor performance from Arsenal and Arteta, but hopefully he can regroup, get everyone back fit, and fight on from there, because you wouldn't want to be down at 16th, 15th in the league. After 19 games. We've played 11 games in the Premier League already, and you're 15th. That's showing that you need something sorted. Spurs, Liverpool are flying. There's Southampton are flying, West Ham are flying. Anything can happen this season.
And of course, even now, you look at Chelsea as well. They're up there. Man U and Man City are both up there as well with that big derby this weekend. But it's a real struggle for Arsenal, and it doesn't get any easier now with Thomas Partey. It looks like he's very much, got the same injury again. He had to come off yesterday with that same injury, and it looks like I think he missed a month or 6 weeks last time, so he'll probably miss the same again.
Yeah, which is not good for a player that you brought in the summer for 45 million?
Something like that, yeah.
Well, 40 plus. It's just, he is a quality player. Don't get me wrong. But I just think he needs to show more umph in the squad. He needs he needs to push that central defensive midfield, because he was one of Atletico Madrid's best players over the last 3-4 seasons in that area. I mean, they play a similar style to Arsenal, so it should have he should have just got in and done well. But there was one funny thing that I saw in the game as
What was
well.
that?
Spurs actually ended the game with 6 defenders on the pitch because Ben Davies
and Rodon.
came on and went into left centre back, which put Aurier and who was the left back?
Reguilon left back, and then Dyer and Rodon come on as well, didn't they? Yeah.
And Joe Rodon came on as well, and I was just like, 6 defenders. What are you trying to do, Mourinho? But it was quite ironic and funny, I thought, because he wants to keep that clean sheet.
Was it Dyer or Alderweireld? One of them. I think one of them come off, but yeah.
No, I think it was Lo Celso came off for Rodon.
The three that came off for all the front players, I think Son, Bergwijn, Lo Celso are the ones that came off.
Yeah.
It was all for came on,
and you went to a 6-3-1, I think.
Just to shut up shop, but you didn't really need to be worried about that Arsenal attack anyway, because I think bar the Lacazette chance that Hugo Lloris saved, that was the only one that Arsenal really, had of any sort of note really in that game.
It was, yeah. And that's what's concerning, to have all that possession in the whole match and not really create much at all. There are concerns there, and not sure how that can be fixed short term, to be honest with you. They need to find a way somehow. I don't know, set up differently. I don't know. But at the moment, whatever they're doing, not working, not moving the ball quick enough, maybe. I mean, the way they play just made it easy for Spurs to sit in really comfortably. They weren't passing it around quickly, trying to move the defenders about. It was just slow, sideways.
Yeah.
I think they must have crossed it about 32 times or something, they said. And that's where they're missing like a Giroud or something in the box, because the players in there weren't. I mean, it was an easy crosses to deal with really for Dyer and Alderweireld in there. So
yeah, because of Aubameyang, Lacazette, even Eddie Nketiah, Saka and stuff as well, are not known for their heading ability. They're more known for their ball control with their feet. And yeah, that's it really. Like Saka's not even 6 foot tall. Nketiah come off the bench and it was already 2-0 by then anyway. Aubameyang, more often than not, seems to play out on the wing rather than up front. And Lacazette, well, he was playing in an unfamiliar number 10, sort of behind the striker position yesterday. So it just, I think it's Arteta's a little bit naive, as I said before. Even the fact we didn't kind of try and match Spurs at the game a little bit and, try and counter on Spurs a little bit. Because in the second half, when Dani Ceballos come on, we were able to break up the play a lot more. And, I think that's because he was 100% fit and not 70% fit like Partey was.
Yeah, I don't blame Arteta for kind of rushing Partey back, because, I mean, every Arsenal fan probably wanted him to start this North London derby, so you can't really complain about that. But it looks like it was rushed back and wasn't ready, and maybe aggravated that injury now and he'll be out for longer. But it's one of them things. They try to force the issue really and make him fit for game, and clearly he wasn't, and it came back to bite in the end.
Yeah, and Russ has put a comment there. How you doing, Russ? You all right, mate? So he says, "Am I worried about relegation?" You have to be at the moment. The way that the table is. No, let me finish. The way that the table is at the minute, we're the 15th best team in that league. We've got players that are better than that, but at the moment, they're not performing. Take Bellerin yesterday, take Aubameyang yesterday, take Granit Xhaka yesterday. All players that either had a mistake in them or were just anonymous and weren't even seen. So, you have to be worried about it at the moment until things start to change, especially when we're not scoring goals. We scored 1 goal in open play in something like 600 minutes or whatever it was. It's ridiculous. And we've got the elite strikers that we have.
Yeah, I mean, and you've only scored 10 in all Premier League games, I think, as well.
Yeah, that's it.
Same as him and Son.
Yeah,
yeah.
Same as one player from Spurs. That's it, exactly. Yeah, and Aubameyang, I think he's got 3 of those or 4 of those or something, and he's out of form. So
maybe it's time for him to be dropped. And I know he's Arsenal captain and all that, but maybe it's time for a new, fresher blood to come through. I mean, you got Eddie Nketiah who can play there. You can play Nicolas Pepe on one wing, who's now going to be back from his suspension.
After the Burnley game, he's got one more ban. Yeah, one more game ban.
You've got Nketiah, you got Pepe, you got Willian. You've got
Willian. Don't get me started on Willian. Yesterday, I thought he was absolutely dreadful. For a player that tends to turn up and play well against Spurs, didn't do anything yesterday. And he hasn't done anything since he signed for the club either. I'm seriously feeling a bit let down by that signing. And I do think that it's a panic buy from Arteta because, of the injury that we had to Martinelli. I think if Martinelli's fit, we don't sign Willian.
Yeah, and obviously you still got Martinelli to come back in. You've got Joe Willock who can play there.
Yeah.
You got Emelo Smith-Rowe who can play out on the wing as well. So you've got youngsters that are coming in and they need to prove themselves. And I think chucking a few in could shake things up and make Arsenal a better side.
And I think that's why the Europa League and the Premier League is so different for us because, in the Europa League, we're not scared to give Willock, Nelson, Nketiah, Balogun, Maitland-Niles a run out and to give them a go. And they're actually performing in the Europa League. So why don't, that's actually a good shout. Why don't Arsenal, change it up a little bit and give some of these young kids a run out and see what happens. If they're worse than the guys that we've got now, then, change it back. But I'd seriously doubt that, Maitland-Niles, for me, gets over Bellerin every single day of the week. He should have started yesterday. Balogun, I like him. I think he's got a lot of good movement in him. When I see him play in the Europa League, he scored a couple of goals as well. And Nketiah is a confidence player. And that's it, really. Like those guys, Reece Nelson as well. I thought that when Pepe was suspended, Nelson would have been the man that we would have gone for and brought in. And, everyone's been crying out for Joe Willock as well. So those guys, even Smith-Rowe that you mentioned there as well, who I didn't mention in that bracket, are all guys that are young, up and coming, and they're only going to get better the more that they play.
Yeah, and they're doing really well in the Europa League. I mean, you've qualified for the next stage.
Won the group already as well, yeah.
And you've got players in there that, I mean, I think you had a 17-year-old who scored on his Arsenal debut who played really well.
Yeah, Balogun, home debut, yeah.
And I was just like, well, maybe it's time for him to have a chance in the first team because it's just you need to sort something out. I mean, even if it is a mixture of the first team and some of the youngsters, it gives them experience. They might even press on and become bigger things. They might. This helps as well because obviously, if they go on to do bigger and better for themselves, Arsenal might sell them in the future. Who knows? They might even become a club legend. Who knows?
Exactly, yeah. And we weren't shy to chuck Bukayo Saka in, so I don't know whether we've been a bit shy to chuck in the likes of Balogun, who's been, he's a very highly rated player in the youth setup, and he might be leaving as well because he's quite a lot of clubs that are sort of sniffing around him and want to sign him. But why don't we just put him in there and give him a run out? Because it's not working for Aubameyang, as Russ said, since he signed the new contract. So maybe it is time to give the young guy a chance. Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't have to register them because they're
No.
all under 21, and
Mhm.
so there ain't no registration problems there. So all you have to do is obviously have them registered to play as a first teamer,
Yeah.
but they're under 21. Just chuck them in. That's what I'd do. I mean, I've seen loads of clubs that have chucked in youngsters over the course of the years that I've been watching football, and some of them have come out as legends.
Yeah, some of them have gone on to, really good things. Take Man United, Marcus Rashford, Mason Greenwood as well. Guys like that have come into Man United performing really well and, making a name for themselves in the England side as well.
Well, look at Harry Kane at Spurs.
Yeah.
Came through Spurs' youth system, even though he's an Arsenal fan.
Well, probably isn't now.
But still, he came through their youth system, and
even actually with Harry Kane, he had a number of loans out in the lower divisions as well. Sort of League Two, League One, and then I think he was at Leyton Orient for a while. That was one of the clubs he was at, and from then on, he's kicked on, and he's now I think he's got 250 goals for club and country with that goal he scored yesterday, and he's now the all-time leading goal scorer in the North London derbies as well.
Yeah, I mean, he went out to like Leyton Orient. He went to Leicester at one point in his career.
Yeah,
linked up with Jamie Vardy. So there's two players that have been in the England setup before together. One, and Harry Kane didn't actually do that good for Leicester, and now he's come back in at Tottenham, and since then he's just scoring goals for fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Any news on Thomas Partey? Yeah, he's got the same injury again. He aggravated the same injury, so probably be another 4 to 6 weeks again that he's going to be out, which means he's going to miss the whole festive period. So he's going to miss games against Man City in the League Cup, Chelsea in the league, and lots of other important league games as well. So it's a big shame that we're going to miss him for that period. I know you've got to shoot off in a minute, Jordan. So is there anything you want to just add before you disappear off to, get on with what else you need to get on with tonight?
I don't know. I think from an Arsenal perspective, I think at this stage, there's no need to. I don't think that it's too early to panic. I still feel for them. I think it's so much football to play. I know that 15th, and we're not in August or September, we're in December, but there's a lot of football to be played, and the league feels kind of tight at the moment. As I said, between not a lot of points between 15th and then up to kind of 6th or 7th. So I think they'll be fine. They're not going to finish in the top 4. Might not be probably not top 6, but they might be right. They might probably end up winning the FA Cup again or something. It wouldn't surprise me. But they'll be
League Cup, FA Cup, Europa League is how we'll get into the Champions League now. But of course, Spurs are in the Europa League and they've qualified as well. So it's going to be, the Europa League is going to be challenging when, when the teams from the Champions League start to drop out as well.
Yeah, it will be a challenge. Hopefully not too many good teams drop down into the Europa. Obviously, it could be Man United actually if they lose.
And also it could be Real Madrid.
Yeah, they're on the verge of it as well. Yeah.
That should be interesting.
But imagine it being an Arsenal Tottenham Europa League final.
Just be a bit as bad as the Chelsea one. We won't turn up again. We'll be it'll be as bad as that.
But at least then you might have half a capacity of the stadium, or maybe even the full capacity
by that point. Yeah, maybe. Arsenal fans always panic. Yeah, well, at the moment, it looks like we've got every right to panic with the way that the table looks. I've got to say it again. If we lose to Burnley, we're 4 points above the relegation zone. As much as I hate to say it, it's a must-win game. It's a 6-pointer, yeah. And
if Burnley are playing tonight as well, aren't they?
No, it's Brighton, and we can go down the place if they beat Southampton. Yeah.
So I mean, Brighton, Southampton. Well, Brighton have got some good players that have come in as well, like that Lamity.
Mm-hmm.
And Southampton are flying, so anything can happen.
And it's terrible, if Brighton get a result there, then we'll be down in 16th, and then I think I think Burnley are the team below us at that point, or might be just below one team, sort of sandwiched in between. But yeah, thanks for joining, and I'll sort of wrap it up in a minute anyway. But I'll let you get on with the rest of your night, Jordan, and
Cheers.
thanks for joining, and hopefully we might do another one of these on the back of the game at the Emirates as well later on in the season.
Hopefully, yeah. Cheers.
And hopefully it's a different result as well from an Arsenal perspective. But I know, of course, you'll be thinking differently from a Spurs fan's perspective, and you might be top of the league still at that point, and then you're really in with a shout for the title.
That's the dream, but I'm not getting ahead of myself.
All right, cheers, mate. I'll let you get on, and me and Ryan will wrap it up. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, bye.
Cheers, George. Thanks.
So yeah, we'll wrap it up there. Actually, anyway, I think I won't really bother with sort of player ratings or anything like that, because I can't.
They can all have a big 4.
Big 4. That's a bit generous to some of them, to be fair to you. But no, we're going to wrap it up. I just wanted to keep you on as well, just for a second, because we're going to be doing the RS Media podcast a bit later. So just give you a little 5 minutes to plug that.
Yeah, so come join from 8:30 tonight. We have Mike, we have Sean Price joining us. We might have Russ, who might be joining us later. And we might have TalkSport's very own Barry Swain probably joining us as well. So there isn't no special guest this week due to Dean Parrott. He is training for tomorrow night's game.
Yeah,
so
he's now playing for Wellstone, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. And Mr. Tom Pett, he's gone to the cinema.
I'm surprised the cinemas they're back open now again, are they? All right.
Yeah. It's tier 2, isn't it?
Oh, so he's gone to Stevenage Cinema to Cineworld. Okay, fair enough.
I think so. But so he's unavailable.
Yeah.
But he has penciled in that he will join for the first podcast of 2021.
All right, and that should be a good one as well. So thank you for listening in, guys. And of course, it's not a great result for Arsenal by any stretch of the imagination. Losing that North London derby, it always hurts. It's always, the one game that we look out for as Arsenal fans. And when we lose, it's the one game that hurts more than any. So, of course, we have a game on Thursday in the Europa League against Dundalk, which is, a nothing game really, because we've qualified, we've won the group anyway. So we won't bother with any sort of streams for that in terms of doing, review of that or anything like that one probably. But then we play Burnley next weekend, and possibly I might see if I can get a Burnley fan on to give their perspective as well after that game, depending on what the result is as well. So thank you for watching and listening, guys. You've been listening to a worldwide Gooner Elite podcast. I'll be back later on with Rye and the rest of them for the RS Media podcast as well. Give that a follow on all social media. Do you want to just plug the channels, the Twitter and the Facebook, because you probably know them better than me?
Yeah.
Website.
Even though you're the assistant manager and all that, it's RS Media 89 on Twitter, RS Media on YouTube, RS Media on Facebook, RS_media on Twitch, and that is it.
And the website as well. What's the and of course there's the jobs as well. If anyone wants to get involved with the channel, that's up on the website now as well. So what sort of things are you looking for? You're looking for presenters and a news team, is that right?
Yeah, we're looking for all people from commentators to news reporters. We are also going to be looking for a manager as well, because I can't do everything on my own, and it proved it last night when I was away from the computer.
And I was doing my own bits and pieces I do as well. Yeah.
And I had to get Kieran a login to the studio so that he can actually do it himself. So
and get on.
Everyone will have there will be a login code for you if you do want to become a manager of this RS Media, but that will be put out hopefully by the end of this week, an application for that. So come watch us from 8:30 tonight, and we'll be talking about everything that happened in the month of November with a little bit of December, because obviously one of the talking points has got something that we will cover there, because it's to do with Sunderland. But thank you very much for listening to me.
And Russ there has just said, all can get a 0 for me. Well, that means Hector Bellerin can get a -1 then, because he can't even take a throw in.
No, yeah.
That's about the 5th time this season.
You might as well go to Forest Green Rovers, where he's a director.
That's right, yeah. And I actually saw somebody on Twitter that made me laugh yesterday as well, posted out that I'll cut down a tree every time that Hector Bellerin foul throws again throughout the rest of the season.
There'll be no trees left.
That the whole thing with Bellerin is the whole planting trees as well. So they're just kind of rubbing it into it. And if he can't take a throw, we'll go and cut down one of the trees that he grows. Yeah. But no, we'll move on from this, guys. We'll be back later in about just under 2 hours' time for the RS Media podcast, and keep an eye out for the live commentaries as well. If you want to go and listen back to the alternative live commentary of yesterday's game between Arsenal and Spurs, I shared that up on my channel, my direct Facebook page, so you can find it easily there. But thanks to Jordan, who joined earlier. Thanks to Rye, who joined now. Thanks to everyone that left their comments as well. We'll be back a bit later over on RS Media. Cheers, guys. Enjoy the rest of your